All right, as you're winding it down, so this is what I had up here, right? This was page 3. This is what the page 3, all 3 centers should look like. Let me give you what page 4 should look like. All right, and here is what page 4 should have looked like. All right, that's page 4. All right, so here's where I want to start. Let's go back to page 1. So this is our page 1 triangle that we did the other day in class, right, with our multiple centers on there. Okay. All right, here's what we're going to do. There's something kind of interesting about the relationship between the, well, there's a lot kind of interesting about the relationship between the circumcenter, the centroid, and the orthocenter. For one thing, it was discovered that all 3 centers are collinear. Take your ruler and line up all 3 intersections of the orthocenter, circumcenter, and centroid, and you will find that all 3 centers are collinear. Like, I can draw one line right through all 3 centers. It is quite beautiful. Yeah, it is. It is quite beautiful. In fact, let's do this. Let's highlight that in a different color.
Oh my God!
Feel free to go grab a colored pencil if you need one. I'm gonna do that one in green. Hey, here's an idea. We need to label this. Let's outside this line. We'll label this like. Remember how we labeled, like, we saw lines sometimes with lowercase letters. Let's label this with a lowercase e. E. Yeah. Now here's the interesting thing. This is consistent no matter what triangle you have. So, like, let's go to page 2. Let's go to our second triangle.
So I just did this one wrong.
And you'll notice that on your second triangle, if you take your ruler and you line up your orthocenter and your circumcenter, it will go right through your centroid. And again, all 3 points are collinear. So I can draw one line that connects all 3 points. Let's highlight that again. We'll use the same color for this unique and interesting line that we've discovered here.
I'm not done.
So this is our E line for number 2. So I labeled that E there. Let's do page 3. Let's see if that works on page 3.
Oh my goodness, it does.
So let's see. If I line up my orthocenter and my circumcenter.
Eating disorder?
You can see that again. I have collinear points.
All my fellas. Why?
And I'm going to label that my E line there.
Wow.
Let's do it on the fourth triangle.
All my fellas. Tatum, are you proud of me? I'm so proud of you, Malia. Look at you.
So again, no matter what triangle we have this weird E line that stretches through the circumcenter, the centroid, and the orthocenter. So every triangle has these three centers that we can find, and all those centers are collinear. Okay, well that's kind of an interesting little discovery. Actually, that discovery, it was discovered by a guy by the name of Leonard Euler.
Wow.
So the mathematician that we heard about this morning, this is actually Euler's line. That's what this green line is. He was the one that discovered that these three centers are always collinear. Okay. Now, he was also credited with, probably didn't necessarily discover all of this, but he was credited with another observation with this collinear line. Let me see if I can. So this is the Euler line. You can see a picture of it right there. So you can see here's your orthocenter, here's your centroid, here's your circumcenter, here's your Euler's line. And you'll notice that there's an N on the screen, which was one of our letters that was left off. And the N is the center of what you see up there called the 9-point circle. And this is what you're going to be constructing for your project / assessment, the 9-point circle. All right, so let's talk about what the 9-point circle is. So the 9-point circle, N, is exactly halfway between the orthocenter and the circumcenter.
So you just have to find the.
So if you find the midpoint of the segment between the orthocenter and the circumcenter, then you'll find the center of the 9-point circle. Now here's how you find, are you listening? Here's how you find the radius so that you can hit all 9 points, okay? The 9 points that are hit by the circle are the 3 midpoints of the sides of the triangle, 1, 2, and 3, okay? It also hits the 3 feet of the altitudes, 1, 2, and 3. And then the last point, which isn't labeled up here with the angle markers, it splits the altitude line from the orthocenter to the vertex into 2 equal parts. So from orthocenter to the circle, and from the circle to the vertex is bisected. And so that point there, and this point here, and this point here, make up the 9 points of the 9-point circle. And so your job is going to be to construct that and find all 9 points correctly and then label them on your construction. Now, I will post this to the Google Classroom assignment for the project so that you have this to refer back to what the 9 points are. We're going to be building our project on formative. You're going to be doing video responses for each one of the centers, so you'll just do them one piece at a time, and then you'll also answer some questions about this project so that you have all the correct language as you're narrating your construction, saying, hey, I'm working on the circumcenter right now, which means I'm making the segment bisectors of the sides of the triangle. I do that using my construction that helps me find the midpoint line, so on and so forth like that, okay? All right, so we're going to do some 9-point center constructions and find the 9-point circle right now, right here in class. And then your homework will be whatever we don't finish in class, you'll find the rest of the 9-point circle and bring that back on Monday. And then on Monday, we'll launch the project, and then we'll talk more about when that's due. Okay? All right, so let's do that. All right, here is page 1. Let me turn the lights down.
What's this? He's like.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, let's find our orthocenter and our circumcenter, our H and our U.
I found it.
Okay. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to set your compass pointer at one of those 2 intersections. You're going to open up more than halfway for what would be that line segment. Let me show you.
Almost there.
And then you're going to arc above, arc below, switch to the other side, arc above, arc below, just like you're finding the midpoint of any other line segment. All right, so I'm going to use this setting here. All right, so I'm going to arc above here, and I'm going to arc below down here, something like that. So you can see those arcs that I made there and there. And then I'm going to come over to my circumcenter. I'm going to arc above. I'm going to arc below. And that gives me my crossing arcs. And again, I'm only finding a midpoint, so I'm not drawing a whole line segment. I'm just going to mark the midpoint. Yeah, it's going to be on the green line. And then we're going to label that N for the center of our 9-point circle. And then the easiest thing to do for these is to find a point that's very clear, and you want to check it and tweak your compass just a little bit to make sure that you hit all 9 points nicely. But like, for example, I can see that this right here, this spot is a foot of an altitude. I need to hit that. So I'm going to start with my compass pointer at the N, and I'm going to open up my compass so that I can get to that. And that's pretty good right there. I think that's pretty tight right there. And so then I should be able to hit the other feet of the altitude. So like if this is 1, then I'm going to draw my 9-point circle through right here, right? I should be able to come over here and go, there's the other one over here. And here's the third one over here. Sorry, I can't see with my hand there. Here, here, and then back over here. I think I need a little bit more extension. Yeah. And then, like, you can see I'm going to hit the midpoint, and I'm going to hit the midpoint. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to hit the midpoint. I think I'm pretty solid on my... Oh, I moved my compass. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, as long as you hit all of those points. Oh, my whole thing got off here. That's why. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, I do hit all of them. Hey.
Pretty good. I'm a little off on one of mine. Not too bad though. Yeah. Could be my printer too. But I hit most of them there. All right, so I have my 9-point circle, right? So the easiest way to do this is to find the 3 easy points. That's how I call them, right? So this is where we're actually going to do the dots, because now we don't need to put our compass pointer down. And I want to be really clear that you know where the 9 points are. So let's put some dots at the altitude feet. So we'll start with those here. So that should be 3 points on my circle. And then let's put them at the midpoints. So look for your 90-degree blue lines, right? So that's going to be here and here and here. So the midpoints of the sides of the triangle, which are formed by your circumcenter lines, right? So we've got the feet of the altitudes, we've got the 6 points there, and then lastly, you're going to find where does your circle intersect each of the 3 altitudes between the orthocenter and the vertex. So like orthocenter is here. So between the orthocenter and the vertex this way, it's going to be this point right here. Between the orthocenter and the vertex this way, it's going to be this point right here. And then between the orthocenter and the vertex this way, it's going to be this point right here.
Wait, do your points overlap? Can your points overlap or no?
These, I mean, they can depending on the triangle that you have. In this case, they don't really overlap. Yeah.
So the points, like, for like the ones that we just did, like connected to the vertex, those can be on like the orthocenter's line.
They will be on the orthocenter's line because what it's doing is the circle is taking that point right there. It's taking that distance from the orthocenter to the vertex. If you look up here, Laura, it's taking that and it's splitting it into 2 equal parts.
Okay.
So it's bisecting the long part of the altitude. Okay?
Next one too.
Huh?
Number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do no. Yeah.
How do you know which like way like if it's right or left?
You're talking about these here.
Yeah. Or like,
So it's always going to be from the ortho center to the vertex,
okay.
right? So like you have two ways to go. You go from ortho center to the foot. That's already a point, the foot. And so then from the ortho center to the vertex, the other part of the altitude line, that's where the circle splits it into two parts. So this distance and this distance are the same.
And like the centroid one, how would you like find that?
Well, the centroid is this here, but there's nothing special about that.
But you said you have to find the points for the midpoints.
The midpoints are of the sides of the triangle are right here.
Wait, so only say
So like, right, we did our first line and then we did our orange line, the second line, right?
So it's of the triangle, not actually.
Yeah, of the triangle.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the midpoint of the side of the triangle. So it's 1, 2, and 3, like that. And then it's the feet of the altitudes, 1, 2, and 3. And then it's the distance between the ortho center and the vertex bisected.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Now, one last thing you're going to do is you're going to label these, and I'm going to give you the letters you're going to use to label them. All right? And so here's how we're going to do it. Because we got to be a little bit particular, we're going to do n sub 1. Pick any point. I don't care. You're going to start with n sub 1. And then you're going to go in order around the circle, I sub 1. So I'm putting little numbers down to the bottom right. And then we're going to do n sub 2. And then we're going to do E, capital E, and then capital P, capital O, capital I sub 2, capital N sub 3, capital T. We're going to spell 9 point. NINEPOINT. Those are your 9 points right there.
I was really confused with the. I was like, why are we doing?
I'm so literal like that we can't have more than 1 point named 9, so we have to sub them so that we have n sub 1, n sub 2, and n sub 3. That then we can talk specifically about a location in space. That's how we would do it now. Class is over in like 5 minutes, so we're not allowed to have people out in the last 10. Okay. All right. Let's try to do one more before we get out of here.
I noticed like there's a centroid. It doesn't have anything to do with the 9-point circle.
What's that?
Centroid doesn't have anything to do with the 9-point circle.
It doesn't really, no.
Can you do
Except that the centroid, the orthocenter, and the circumcenter are all collinear on Euler's line.
Can you do an example for which side you did today?
No, let's do number 2. Do you guys want to do one from today?
Yeah, today.
Today, which one do you want to do? You want to do 3?
Yeah. I messed up.
I think we should do 4.
Okay.
4 or 2? Let's do 4 or 2. Which one? Okay, 4 it is. Okay. Because I want to do a different looking one. All right. So here's 4. I got to zoom out a little bit more. There's a little more room to work. Okay. So let's kind of do this sort of quickly. So let's find the midpoint, the center of our 9-point circle, the midpoint between our U and our H. 4, page 4. So I'm gonna start. I'll start over here. Clearly more than halfway. Yeah.
You don't mark any of the points that line the centroid lines?
Well, we're only marking the 9 points of the 9-point circle. That's it.
Oh wait, I found it.
I'm just gonna do some big arcs out here. Come up here. Ortho center, some big arcs down there. That's pretty good. I should be able to find it from that.
This is gonna be a fast circle. Don't fat shame the circle. Oh, Taylor, I heard you. This is a confusing one.
Okay, so there's my N right in there. And again, if you're not sure, if you're like, well, I don't really know, did I find the right point? Again, set your compass pointer where you started. And you should have equidistant from your circumcenter to your center to your N, and then from your N to your orthocenter. Okay, and then you're going to find some key points. Now listen, some of these key points are going to be outside the triangle. Like, for example, take a look at this pink line right here. This is my orthocenter line. This is my altitude, right? And that altitude meets at 90 degrees out here, right? That's my 90-degree marker out there, right? Because this is an obtuse triangle. And so I'm going to start here, and I'll use that point as my anchor. And if I come across, I should be able to hit midpoint, midpoint, altitude, altitude, like that. Okay, now, what we didn't do today in class, I don't know why people are packed up and have all their stuff put away. That's weird. Like, that would be like, we're not done with class and you guys are? No, that's not the way it works. Okay, so here's this right here. And then what I want you to do is put your color in your compass, because I want you to color your 9-point circle. So once you draw your 9-point circle, then you can use your highlighter in your compass to do your 9-point circle. So your job is to finish up finding the 9 points for this one. All right. And I'll put the 9 points for this one at the end of the video, and then you're going to do numbers. What did we leave? We left 1, 2, and 3, right? So you'll do 2 and 3. I want you to find the 9-point circle. I want you to highlight it. I want you to label the 9 letters all the way around on pages 2 and 3. That'll be your homework for Monday, and then we'll talk about how you're going to do the project on Monday. Okay? Everybody got it? So at the end of the video, I'll have the 9 points up here for you to look at. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. That'll do it. Good job today.
Could I get an
Okay, so just to follow up, this is page 1. You can see down here, this is page 1 down here at the bottom. Okay, so this is the first one we did in class. But again, I just wanted to reiterate the 9 points, right? So then again, we found the midway point here. This N is the midway point, right, between our circumcenter and our orthocenter there, like that. And then we set our compass to one of the 9 points that we know for sure. Like this one's a pretty clear one because that's the foot of an altitude, right? It's where that altitude line meets the other side at 90 degrees. We set our compass, we make our 9-point circle, and then we label them accordingly here. And so the points that you should hit with your 9-point circle are the 3 feet of the altitudes, 1, 2, and 3, like that. Those are the 3 places where the altitudes meet the sides at 90 degrees. The other, or 3 more points, are the midpoints of the sides of the triangle, right? That would come from our very first 2 constructions here, right? Those 3 points. And then lastly is where the circle intersects the altitude line in between the orthocenter and the vertex. So you can see here, the circle intersects the altitude line in between the orthocenter and the vertex. Again, in between the orthocenter and the vertex, here is where the circle intersects the altitude line. Right. And again, between the orthocenter and the vertex, here is where the circle intersects that line. And what it does is it cuts that distance from here and here into 2 equal parts. Those 2 parts are congruent. Okay. So those are your 9 points. So then let me show you, we did number 4 also in class. So let me show you number 4. All right. So here's your 9-point circle for number 4 here. So you can see where those points are. Study them. Again, it hits the 3 midpoints of the sides of the triangle. It hits the 3 feet of the altitudes, right? And again, remember, because, we have this obtuse triangle here, right? Our altitude is going to hit outside at 90 degrees out here, right? So keep an eye out for that. All right. And then it also takes the distance between the orthocenter and the vertex and bisects it. That's what the other 3 points that the 9-point circle hits. Okay. All right. Good luck. You're going to do 2 and 3.